Welcome back to China, CSN. Before you spend another penny, stop for just a moment and look at the date. What if one of the coins sitting in an old collection, a forgotten jar, or your everyday pocket change has a story that goes back more than 60 years? Today on Hardest Penny, we're taking a close look at the 1964 Lincoln penny, a coin that may appear ordinary at first, but becomes much more fascinating when you understand its history, composition, mint marks, condition, varieties, and potential collector value. And here's the most important thing to remember. Not every 1964 penny is rare or extremely valuable, but certain characteristics can make individual examples much more desirable to collectors. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to look for before you decide whether your 1964 Lincoln penny deserves a second look. 1964 Lincoln penny. The 1964 Lincoln cent is part of one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. The obverse shows the famous portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner. Lincoln faces right, with the words liberty and I in God we trust surrounding his portrait, while the date 1964 appears beneath him. On the reverse, you will see the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Lincoln Memorial reverse became an important part of American pocket change and remained on the cent for decades. If you turn over a 1964 penny, you can see the memorial building surrounded by United States of America and E pluribus unum, with 1 cent at the bottom. If you have a magnifying glass, take a close look at the tiny details because the condition of those details can tell you a lot about the coin. One of the first things collectors check on a 1964 Lincoln penny is the mint mark. A 1964 penny without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, while 1964 D penny carries a small D beneath the date and was produced at the Denver Mint. That tiny letter can be easy to overlook, especially if the coin has been heavily circulated, dirty, or damaged. But here is something extremely important for new collectors. The presence or absence of a mint mark does not automatically make a 1964 penny rare. Large quantities of Lincoln cents were produced during this period, which means ordinary circulated examples are generally common. If you find a 1964 penny, you should not automatically believe that it is worth thousands or millions of dollars simply because of its date. Even though both coins are from the same year, collectors may view them very differently. This is why professional coin grading can be important when dealing with potentially valuable examples. Grading evaluates a coin's condition using established standards. For copper cents, collectors may also pay attention to the coin's color designation. A coin can be described as brown, red-brown, or red depending on how much of its original reddish copper appearance remains. A naturally red, high-grade 1964 Lincoln cent can be much more desirable than an ordinary brown, circulated example. However, collectors should be careful because artificial cleaning, chemical treatments, polishing, or other attempts to improve a coin's appearance can actually reduce its desirability. If you discover an old penny, one of the worst things you can do is grab a polishing cloth and start rubbing it. Never clean a potentially collectible coin. Another fascinating area is mint errors. A common date can sometimes become much more interesting if it has a genuine minting error. During the striking process, coins can occasionally experience unusual problems involving the planchet, dies, alignment, or striking pressure. Depending on the type and severity, a genuine error can attract significant collector interest. For example, collectors may watch for dramatic off-center strikes, clipped planchets, major die breaks, doubled features, or other unusual characteristics. But there is a major warning here. Many damaged coins are incorrectly described online as rare errors. A coin that has been scratched, squeezed, hit by machinery, exposed to chemicals, or damaged after leaving the mint is not automatically a valuable mint error. The difference between a genuine mint error and post-mint damage can be difficult for beginners to identify, which is why professional examination can be helpful when something looks unusual. Now take a close look at the date on your 1964 Lincoln penny. Are the digits sharply defined? Is there unusual doubling? Does anything appear distorted or separated in a way that looks different from normal wear? Then move to the lettering. Examine Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, United States of America, and 1 cent. Finally, inspect the Lincoln Memorial and the rim. A good magnifying glass can turn a simple penny search into a completely different experience. Another important factor is strike quality. Some coins were struck with sharper details than others. On a Lincoln cent, collectors can look closely at Lincoln's hair, cheek, jaw, and the details on the memorial. The sharper and more complete the details, the more attractive the coin may be in higher grades. The surfaces are equally important. Contact marks can appear when coins hit each other during production, transportation, or storage. Small marks may be acceptable, but heavy scratches, dents, corrosion, or discoloration can reduce the coin's appeal. The 1964 penny is also historically interesting because it was made during a period of significant change in American coinage. The early 1960s brought major challenges involving the nation's coin supply and the rising costs of metals. The United States Mint was dealing with increased demand for circulating coins, and changes to several denominations were taking place around this period. The Lincoln cent itself continued using its traditional copper base composition in 1964. This gives the coin an important connection to an earlier era of American coinage before the composition of the cent changed in later decades. And think about what that means. A 1964 penny has survived more than 6 decades. It may have traveled across the country, passed through thousands of hands, sat inside a cash register, disappeared into a drawer, or remained hidden in a family collection. Every mark on the coin can be part of its journey. That history is one reason collectors enjoy Lincoln cents so much. But what about value? For most ordinary, circulated 1964 Lincoln pennies, the value is modest. These coins are common enough that simply owning the date does not make a coin extraordinarily valuable. However, exceptional condition, certified high grades, unusual varieties, and genuine mint errors can change the situation dramatically. This distinction is extremely important because online videos and auction listings sometimes create unrealistic expectations. You may see someone asking an enormous amount of money for a 1964 penny online, but an asking price is not proof that the coin is actually worth that amount. Real market value is better determined by examining documented sales, professional auction records, recognized price guides, and comparable certified coins. So if you have a 1964 Lincoln penny, don't focus only on the biggest number you can find online. Focus on identifying exactly what you have. Start with the mint mark. Then check the condition. Look at the color. Search for legitimate varieties or errors. Compare the coin with reputable references. And if the coin appears exceptional, consider professional authentication and grading. You should also handle the coin carefully. Hold it by the edges rather than touching the surfaces unnecessarily. Finger oils and moisture can affect a coin over time. If you're examining multiple pennies, work on a soft, clean surface so you don't accidentally scratch the coin. And remember, coin collecting isn't simply about finding a coin worth a fortune. Sometimes the real reward is discovering something unusual, learning about American history, or building a collection that becomes more meaningful over time. The 1964 Lincoln penny is a perfect example. Millions of people may have looked at this coin without giving it a second thought. But when you understand its design, its minting history, its copper composition, its varieties, its grading characteristics, and the importance of preservation, that ordinary-looking penny suddenly becomes much more interesting. Maybe it will turn out to be an ordinary circulated cent, and that's perfectly fine. But if it has an unusual mint error, a significant variety, or extraordinary condition, you may have found something worth researching further. And that is the excitement of searching Lincoln pennies. The coin in your hand may be worth only a small amount, or it may contain a feature that makes collectors take notice. You will never know until you look closely. Here at Hardest Penny, our goal is to help you understand the stories behind these fascinating coins and teach you what details to watch for when searching your own collection. So keep your eyes open, use reliable information, and never clean a potentially valuable coin before you know what you have. The next time someone tells you that a penny is just 1 cent, remember this. Its face value may be 1 cent, but its history can be priceless. And somewhere out there, another 1964 Lincoln penny is waiting to be discovered.